get me a toilet paper roll, a corkscrew, and some tinfoil.
We don't have a corkscrew.
All right, then get me an avocado, an ice pick, and my snorkel. Trust me, bro, I've made bongs with less. Hurry up!
1998 is often remembered for major releases that shaped the late 1990s. Big productions, disaster films, and well-known franchises dominated public attention. However, not every film from that year benefited from that visibility. Several titles struggled to gain traction, faced mixed signals, or arrived in packed release windows that limited their appeal.
Hand over the milk money, Weaver.
I'm afraid I can't do that, Derek. I'm just not sure you'll spend it on milk.
Many of these movies remained present long after their opening day runs ended. Through VHS, television, and later home formats, they continued to reach new viewers. These are the films from 1998 that did not perform strongly at first but remained part of the decade's cultural memory. BASEketball combined sports parody with absurd comedy.
Fuck your sister.
At release, its tone divided viewers, and ticket sales were modest. The film did not attract a wide audience in theaters, partly due to small marketing and competition from more traditional comedies.
That's 2 rooms done. Boy, those corners are tricky.
Done a fine job.
In the years that followed, it gained new fame from home viewing and being from the creators of South Park. Its fictional sport and exaggerated characters became more familiar to viewers.
Mrs. Denzel? Mrs. Denzel!
While it did not receive major re-evaluation, it remained widely quoted and referenced among fans of late 1990s comedy.
Sir, can I borrow your blanket?
Don't worry, I'm here for you.
Sir, can I borrow your blanket?
There you go, little buddy. This should keep you warm.
Holy mother of God, he's flatlining.
Alone! Live! Damn it, live!
15,000! 15,000 volts! Flare! Coop, do you know what you're doing?
What's it look like?
An execution?
Blues Brothers 2000 arrived with demanding standards tied to the original film's legacy. However, the absence of key original cast members and the long gap between installments contributed to mixed reception.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Willie's, the state's most elegant establishment for entertainment, erotica, and ecdysia. And now, 4 young women currently studying medicine and paleontology at Northwestern University. Tia, Sandra, Devin, and Carla, here they are, our roommates.
The film underperformed relative to its budget. Later exposure focused more on its musical performances and connections to rhythm and blues traditions. For some viewers, it functioned less as a sequel and more as a showcase of musicians and styles. Its continued presence in music and film discussions ensured it was not forgotten.
Run away!
A Night at the Roxbury expanded a short sketch into a full-length movie.
I broke the window again. Dad's gonna be pissed.
Which created high hopes but also challenges. The film received mixed reviews at release, and box office results were modest compared to the popularity of the original characters. Some viewers felt the concept worked better in short form, which affected early reception. Years later, the movie remained visible through home viewing and cable broadcasts.
What is love? Baby, don't hurt.
Haughty police officer? I was really looking forward to meeting you at Municipal Court on or before June 6th.
Its soundtrack, dance sequences, and over-the-top performances became familiar to many who discovered it later. It became associated with late 1990s comedy and nightclub culture, especially for viewers who connected with its humor outside the theater setting.
You guys want to make out or what?
Species 2 followed a successful predecessor, but failed to replicate its performance. Critics were largely negative, and financial results were weaker than expected.
Electronic tether armed for activation in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The sequel's darker tone and graphic content restricted its audience. Nevertheless, the film continued to circulate through genre-focused programming. Science fiction and horror fans reassessed it as part of the broader late 90s interest in alien and genetic themes. It became associated with the period's fascination with biotechnology and space exploration. Gus Van Sant's Psycho remake was unusual in its approach. Rather than remake the original, it recreated the 1960s film closely. This decision generated significant debate. Critics questioned the purpose of the project, and many viewers were unsure how to respond. Box office results were modest. Over time, the film became a case study in remake culture. Discussions around authorship, originality, and adaptation often include it. Its legacy is tied less to its reception and more to the conversation it generated about filmmaking itself.
Mother! Oh, God! Mother!
What Dreams May Come was ambitious in both theme and visual style. However, its dark tone and subject matter limited mainstream appeal.
You've died, Chris.
Financial performance did not match expectations, and critical responses were mixed. Later attention focused on its visual achievements and emotional themes.
You're young again.
As interest in digital effects and fantasy storytelling grew, the film gained recognition for its experimentation. It became part of discussions about the evolution of visual design in cinema. Mafia arrived during a period when parody films were common. However, changing tastes meant fewer viewers responded to this style of humor. The film performed poorly and received little attention. In later years, it became associated with the end of a particular parody era.
I can hear the ocean.
Its exaggerated tone and references to earlier gangster films positioned it as a transitional entry between two decades of comedy. This historical context helped maintain interest among fans of the genre. Rounders did not perform strongly in theaters. At the time, professional poker was not widely accepted in mainstream entertainment, which shrunk its appeal.
Hey, all right, take it easy now. Aren't you supposed to like read us our rights, please?
Reviews were generally positive, but financial returns were modest. How people saw it changed significantly in the early 2000s as poker gained global popularity. The film became a reference for players and fans of the game.
Blinds 25 and 50. And we don't stop till one of us has it all.
Let's do it.
Rather than fading, it gained relevance through cultural shifts. Today, it's frequently cited in discussions about gambling and strategy.
I flopped the nut straight.
Motherfucker! You fool your nut! Motherfucker! That is it!
That's it. What the fuck you talking about? That's it. Take him down, Daddy.
Нет!
No more!
These were the movies from 1998 that struggled initially, but were not erased. Instead, they remained accessible and gradually built a following. While they did not dominate the year, they added to its character. They were not the defining releases.
Oh! Oh my God, she's on fire! Hey! Look out of the way! I got it! Pull out of the way! No! God damn it!
They were the ones that endured through repetition, and in many cases, that long-term presence proved more lasting than early accomplishment.
I guess when all was said and done, I was nothing more than a goddamn trendy-ass poser.